All opinions expressed by the program participants are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Upscale Love for You. The program participants' opinions are based on the information that they consider from their own knowledge. No expressions or accuracy is related to Upscale Love for You.
Je ben God my best life, yeah. Je ben God my best life, yeah. Something you and me, oh. Je ben God my best life, yeah. Jumping, flexing,
Tell us what you want to say.
It's been so long ago, I almost forgot. But no, some advice that my mom used to give me was, boy, keep the telewacky in your pants. And,
Okay, Douglas, hold just one moment. I need for you to either come closer to your phone or your computer because you sound distant at this time.
how about now?
That's much better. Thank you, sir.
Distant lover. Oh, but no, that my mom said was, boy, keep the telewacky in your pants and never get with the girl that you wouldn't want to marry, and never date a woman with kids. Well, I didn't listen to her about the woman with kids thing, and I was late to the game, but I started disregarding her keep the telewacky in your pants. But I'm getting back to all that good stuff now, and actually telling my son the same stuff, but he doesn't listen to me on that issue.
And he may later on. It just doesn't sink in right away.
Right. That's it.
All right, Dr. Fabulous.
Okay, I have two key points that I want to make. And you know, back in the olden days, they will give you some things that you'll be like, really, Mom? But my mom used to always say, always deal with the man that likes you more than you like him or love you more than you love him. And she said that when she married my dad, she said she knew that he was going to be a hard worker. She knew he had all the characteristics of making a great husband, a father, and all that good stuff. But how about she said she had to grow to love my dad? And she said, any person that you're around long enough, they will grow on you and you will start to love them. And I thought that was the craziest thing I had ever heard in all the days of my life, to deal with a person that likes you more. And if you see the qualities in the individual, then take a chance because they will grow on you. And that's what I was told by my mom. Now, my dad, on the other hand, this is Anson's uncle, but his was like, if the finances is right, baby, work with them.
I know where you came from. I know who you came from.
That's it. I just couldn't say that because that was Anson's uncle who would say things like that. So my hand is down and I'm giving it on to you, Chocolate Pearl.
Okay, well, I did see Travis's hand up. Travis?
I just kind of want to jump on what she said. You know, if you think of that in the natural, so to speak, it doesn't make sense. So I understand where she's coming from, but just kind of trying to accept what maybe her mother meant. I think love has nothing to do with how you feel, as much as, you know, it crosses over into a commitment. If you're deciding you're going to spend the rest of your life with somebody, what they look like, yeah, it's important. You know, who they are and how they are with you is important. And as much as, you know, you want to find somebody decent, you want to find someone that you can commit to. And she's right. You know, if you spend time with someone, if you make a commitment to something or someone, your commitment is more important than how you feel. So I remember her mother. Her mother was sweet. And I love Miss Ida White. Bless her heart. Rest in peace, Mama. But I can relate to where she's coming from. And I always saw her and her mother and father, they loved each other. And I can see, and you have to really be deep to understand that perspective, because a commitment has nothing to do with feelings. And I don't know, I could go on. I'm mindful of time, but I get that, and I think that's cool. And if I ever get that opportunity again, I hope somebody sees me, as a commitment worthy, as opposed to what I can do or how I am, so to speak. Because if you make a commitment to something or someone, you're more likely to keep it as opposed to just how you feel, because people's looks, their
Feelings
status,
change.
they change.
Mhm.
So
Well, thank you, Travis. I appreciate it. If anybody else doesn't have a question, I would like to ask. I see Dr. Seductive has arrived, and I would love for her to answer her own question. Dr. Seductive.
while we wait on her, I'm going to change my.
Seductive must be being seduced.
So I guess she was able to log on, but she probably stepped away. Okay, is anybody else? What about you, Keith? Was there anything that your parents told you?
Oh, no, you know what? No.
Hey, I'm so sorry. I was trying to find the unmute. I'm in the car.
I tell you, we have technical difficulties.
Yeah, just, you got to be smarter than the technology. Actually, I had the same advice that I think I heard Dr. Fab say. Find somebody who loves you more than you love them, and you'll grow to love them. So I guess that was pretty good. That's the advice I had.
Can I totally disagree with that?
I do.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're welcome
only
to totally
thing
disagree.
Part of that.
Yeah, only thing about you disagreeing about that, I can understand you disagree about the advice, but it's still advice that her parents has given her.
Right.
Just keep that in mind, okay?
Right.
But go ahead and give us your disagreement.
I'm not disagreeing about that advice, but I just think there's some cliche. Find somebody to love you more and you love them. You know what? I think two people, it's an arrivement of two people. They get to that point and they find out that, hey, they really have a lot in common and they want to move forward and make it. It don't have nothing to do with one person loving another person more, because I think over time we learn to love each other for what we are to each other, as opposed to, I know you love me more, I don't love you as much, so I'm gonna just sit and try to wait, let it grow. I don't think it happens that way. I think it's an organic process that, you spend time with a person, you find you have things in common, and then you find that you can build on some of those commonalities and move forward.
Okay, well, you know what? That would be a great show. And if you will email us a question or a topic, and based on that information, we will have that topic spoken on our show. So that would be great if you could do that. Upscale Love for You at gmail.com. Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Is anybody else having any relationship advice that was given to them from their parents?
I got one. I just thought about
See
one.
my hand now?
Okay, Douglas, you still had your hand up from before, correct?
Incorrect. No.
Oh, so it was up again?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. Danny doesn't mind letting you go. Go ahead, sir.
Oh no, I was just gonna comment on Keith's statement that if you know what true love is, and love is the action word, to more or less do good for that person no matter what. And if you love them or do more action for them, you will stay in a committed relationship. That's all I was saying. That organic stuff is it's sort of kind of good.
I stated before, that will be a great topic for another show. But today we are talking about a totally different topic. So let's try to stay on topic today.
No,
Okay,
actually not. No, if your parents told you to love somebody more, then that's on the same vein as the topic. But I understand. We can move on.
Actually, it isn't, but we're not going to debate that. All right. Danny, you had your physical hand up.
I was gonna say, my mother never really gave me any relationship advice, nor as my father. But now that I'm older, I think about it. I was talking about it. My grandma Essie, she used to always play on her 8-track. I don't know, the 45, whatever. I think his name was Junior. Mama used to say,
Yes.
"Take your
Yes.
time, young man."
Yes.
Yo, and I listen to that now. I wish I would have listened then. Like
Right.
I'm sitting here listening to y'all, and I'm like,
Don't
wow.
you rush to get old.
Yeah. I wish
And
I
that
would
was
have
actually
listened then.
advice. So you felt that Grandma Essie gave you
But
that
it took too
advice
long
through
to
that
sink in.
record.
Yeah, it took too long to
Yeah.
sink in, though.
See? Yeah. Very
It took
good.
too long to
Very
sink
good.
in.
Take your time, young
Yeah.
man. Take your time, young man.
Boy.
Yes. Well, is anybody else have an answer to that question? Cassandra, I see your hand up again.
I know. I was trying to look for that little thing.
The reaction, yeah.
Yeah, I just can't find it. I'm sorry. I think based on everything that everybody has said is although our parents gave us what they thought was correct, probably. And I think most of us have learned we have to follow what's instilled in us. If it feels wrong within our soul and our heart and everything like that, we can't do it. So play on what Douglas said, committed, you got to be committed. If you're not, whatever, if you feel you're being disrespected, if you're not happy in that marriage or that relationship, you can't control that person to make them, you need to make me happy, because that person making you happy is not their responsibility. Your happiness comes from your responsibility. So if a situation, a relationship connection, or whatever is causing distress and making you unhappy, you need to make moves to make sure your happiness is preserved. And whatever that looks like for you. So for being me makes me happy. I like being, and I don't, have any ill intent for anybody. I'm not jealous of nobody. So I want everybody to win. I'm like, let's win, let's get this together. Because I believe goals could be met faster if people work together. That's what my thinking is.
And Sandy, before you leave us tonight, please, I want you to laugh for me, because I want to hear that laugh. So before we sign off tonight.
My barracuda. My grandma said, you laugh like a barracuda. Ain't no man gonna want you because you laugh like a barracuda.
I sure want to hear that laugh before we sign off tonight. I don't know what a barracuda
is. I try to look it up on Google. I don't know what a barracuda is.
Okay.
Look in the mirror.
Well,
look in the mirror.
I'm going to go on to my actual question.
Oh, shit.
Chocolate Pearl, you didn't hear Douglas. Douglas told Sandy to look in the mirror, and she
Word. I'm like, y'all didn't hear that?
I tuned it out. It's like a natural instinct. As soon as he started talking, I just tuned him out.
Do me a favor, Sandy. Please purchase a ticket to our masquerade ball. Because I'm gonna pick up Douglas myself if I have to and bring him to that ball so you can finally meet, because that's all he's doing. You know how when you in school, the little boys will, pick on you because they like you? That's what that is.
That's what
okay. He gonna catch his hands. He gonna catch his hands.
So we're gonna
I'm definitely going now.
So we're gonna move on.
We go back to 2005.
Yeah, we do. We go back. Yeah.
Okay. So my question is, and I kind of changed it up, Dr. Fabulous, because this was on my heart to ask this. Does your relationship reflect the opposite of your upbringing? So it's something similar to what Cassandra was talking about with her parents, how they lived their lives, or what they try to teach her. She's actually doing the opposite. So has anyone else felt that way?
Yeah.
That their upbringing, they're actually doing the opposite?
Definitely. Definitely. My parents have been married for 52 years.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And I've been divorced 2 times. So we definitely opposites on that.
Okay. I agree with you on that one. Mine is what as well. Actually was married for 23 years, together 25,
Wow.
and I am now divorced. Fortunately, my parents were married for a very, 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 very long time, but they never lived together for that long time. And they never
But
divorced. They actually
that might be the key to not being divorced, not living
is
together the
not
whole
living
time.
together, right?
I mean, that sounds kind of sounds like a woman to
Nah,
me.
that might be true because I know an older dude, he's like 80 something. He's sleeping separate twin beds with his wife. And he said they love each
Yeah.
other.
But wait,
Right.
Pearl, what did you
Yeah.
do
What do you mean? What did I do?
to make it end at 23?
I divorced him.
And see, that goes into the stat that women divorce their husbands more than the other way around.
And I agree
Oh,
with that
definitely,
status.
definitely.
But
I
you
agree with
also,
that.
as we have spoken before in previous shows, that I had explained to you the reasoning of why there are certain women who decide to divorce their husbands, and we had already discussed that. So, but I believe you were on that, and kind of you got a little into your feelings at the time. However, Anson, if you would like to answer that question.
Anyway, I wasn't listening. Bye.
All Go ahead, Anson.
Answer the question, I wouldn't say opposite, even though there are aspects in my adulthood that are very different from my parents. I mean, I could say opposite from what I've done, but I wouldn't say opposite. I would say a different
A different approach, okay.
Yeah, I haven't achieved what they have achieved together because I haven't achieved nothing together with someone besides. But that would be opposite, yes. But I just observe them and choose to go a different direction than what they do. Not to say that it's wrong or not to say that what they're doing. I just can't be them.
Okay.
So I would say different, not opposite.
Now, when I say opposite, I'm going to give you an example. Like for instance, if you if you was raised in a home where there was abuse, where you're so used to seeing your mother being beat by your dad or beaten by their significant other, you decide in your life that you didn't want that to happen. So you made sure that whoever you were with was going to respect you and do, and not hit you, and you discuss things and talk things out. Or on the other hand, you have where there are dominant women in a single family home where they're the boss, and every time they have a relationship, they're always bossing that man around, and they can't tend to keep a man. Do you do the opposite where you become submissive, or you come to the part where you are actually a beta instead of an alpha, where you are the helper and not the lead, and you allow that man to do what they do? Are you doing that in the opposite way? There are times where there are relationships, hold on, Cassandra, there are times that there are relationships that are like that. I'm not going to do what my parents did. I'm not going to do what I grew up, with my relationship. My dad and my mom were married for until they died. Okay. But unfortunately, they didn't live together as long as that time. And my dad lived his life of where he raised 2 families, so we have step, half, and whole. But what he did is he raised us still as one big family. And like I said, before Sister Wives became Sister Wives, I say my daddy was a part of that, in a sense. But I personally don't live that way. I don't want to live that way where I have to deal with someone else's family, but I still take care of if someone I'm dating has children. So you know what I mean? Does the opposite of what you seen or where you were raised in reflect your relationship now in the opposite way?
Well, I guess I can answer that now. But no, I wasn't grown. I wasn't raised in any abusive household like that. I don't have to deal with that. But I will say this: I am not my father. I love my mom to death. I know one thing: I will not marry a woman like my mother. Not
Okay.
Fabulous.
That's
Fabulous
very
knows.
interesting.
Fabulous knows that my mother's kind of overbearing. She knows that, and I'm not. I refuse to live my life with that in my home.
Well, that's very interesting because it's the opposite of what a lot of people do. A lot of men tend to find a wife like their parents, like their mother, and a lot of women tend to find men like their fathers. That's how when I grew up, that's how I seen it. But I like the fact that you said I'm not going to marry someone like my mother. My son
Nope.
actually married the exact person. Unfortunately, she's shorter than me, but she's just like me. And believe it or not, her birthday is the day before mine. We act the same, everything. We
Can I,
like the same clothes, and we bump heads because we're so much alike.
okay, can I say what Danny, you just said that? Um,
No, Dan didn't say that. I said that.
okay, my apologies.
I'm on your mind, baby. I'm on your mind.
That's funny. Okay, so what I'm saying, what I'm going to say is, as far as our parents, and I don't know who said it. He said, I don't want to be like my mother. I don't want to pick a woman like my mother. And and the whole topic of, what advice did our parents give us that we play into our relationships today? And a lot of stuff is that I feel like many of us, we see even though if some of the your parents are still married, but you see what your mother took, and you're like, I'm not going to take that. I would divorce my father. I mean, my husband. I would not take that. So I think a lot of times it's not what they said. It's like we learn through their actions what we will take and what we won't take. I'm saying? Everybody has their life journey. And just because somebody tells you how to live, go to church every Sunday, go to Sunday, go to Bible study every Wednesday, go to Sunday school, do this. But you look at the relationships that your parents had, and if any inkling of that you don't like and you don't want, you're gonna resist it. You're gonna like, I don't want that. You can't tell, and then that's when that teenage rebellion come in. Even with our kids, when they have the teenage rebellion, they look at us and be like, I don't want what you got. You know what I'm saying? Because you think having this beautiful house and this and that is whatever. To have this is I think each generation looks at their parents, and we take away the good things, but we also take away the things that we don't want for ourselves. And then we try to roll the dice. We may lose, we may not. But that's when that the I'm the shit class needs to kick in. Because at some point we have to love ourselves more than this relationship, than this union. Because if I'm starting to be more unhappy and depressed and not thriving positively, there's an issue. And anybody that loves you, like, you ever look at yourself in the mirror and like, damn, I'm looking good today. I feel cute. I feel, you know what I'm
Every
saying?
day.
That person that
Every day.
loves you, they want to see that same look in you as well. Like, I like to see Danny smile. I like to see Anderson. I see like the fabulous Dr. Fabulous. I like to see her smile. Like, that's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Who the fuck wakes up and says, let me piss her off today so I can say, like, why?
I agree with that 100%. That's touchdown.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Cassandra. Dr. Fabulous.
Thank you, Evangelist.
I'm going to listen. It's so funny because we're talking about parents, and I have a friend, and his mom is Haitian and his dad African American. And as Cassandra said, I'm the type woman, I love to be admired, admiration. Baby, you're beautiful, you smell good, this and that and the other. And I wasn't getting that from him. And I was like, now I know I'm all that in a bag of chips. So let me pat myself on my head. And he did not say, we went somewhere. And I was like, wait, now we done been here for so long. And I think you might have told me one time that I look good or one time I smell good. And he told me, and this is what was the kicker. He says in his culture that they were raised in as Haitian Americans, if a woman was with this man, she had to know she was already beautiful. He didn't have to tell me. And I was like, what in the ham sandwich is
Touchdown.
that? Because
Touchdown.
sometimes we want to hear it. You understand? And so in different cultures,
I ain't worthy.
yes,
Yeah, I'm gonna use that, Joy. I'm gonna use
yeah,
that one.
in some
I was
cultures,
thinking that.
he says that they don't tell the women that they're pretty or they're beautiful or they admire them all the time with admiration. But because
I
they
am
are
gonna
with
use that.
you automatically know that you're beautiful. And I said that would be something that I would really have to grow into, because when you're used to having your dad telling you you're beautiful, my deceased husband telling me I'm beautiful, but you gonna tell me this like maybe
I'm
once
with
out
you.
of the month,
You think
or
right? You better
you know,
take
it
me.
kind of
You better
lost me. It
recognize.
threw me all the way off. So
It
that's
was
how
very cool.
you think
You better
differently. And I'm gonna take my hand down. I finally got a chance to hear that laugh, Cassandra.
I was about to say, you finally got to hear the laugh.
You my presence. You got my attention, so you worthy.
Yes, that's why, because he says I shouldn't have to tell you you're beautiful all the time because you're with me, and because you're with me, you know you're beautiful. I
So,
was like,
Dr.
oh,
Fabulous,
okay.
Dr. Fabulous, Doctor, can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
Look into the camera. Look into the camera. Show me your reaction. Show me your reaction when he said that to you.
I was like, y'all don't want to know what I really said. I was like, now you know what? Let me get back. I ain't gonna say it, but
You
you
worthy.
already
You
know.
my
But you
presence.
know what? I will say, after I told him how I felt about it, he said he was definitely going to work on it because he did not want our situation or whatever we have to plummet. So he's going to work on that. And that was a good thing. Mm-hmm.
Did he work
I was
on it?
definitely thinking
Yes,
No, did he work on it?
he did, because he know who he dealing with or who he.
Okay, are you still with him?
Now don't be putting my business in the street. Woo! There you go.
I'll take that as a yes. She's still with him.
Okay, well, thank you. Does anybody else have an opposite of what they grew up with? If not, I will pass this on to my dear brother,
Funny.
Dr. Phil. So good. Take it away.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Feelgood here. You know my story. You know my rep. The biggest thing I want you to know that I posted quite a few links on how childhood relationships affect you as you're growing. Also added a video if you want to look at it on YouTube. Look at it at your own time. The biggest thing that I would like to talk about tonight is what we see is what we do. We do what we are. And let me explain that. Everybody had a story on the environment that they were raised in, how their parents acted, how their immediate family acted. And we try not to say that it's learned, but it actually is learned. Love is a learned behavior. Love is also a feeling that comes and goes. And as you grow up, you understand that relationships aren't sustained on love. They're sustained on honor, commitment, and duty. It's a job being in a romantic relationship. It's a job even being in a platonic, friendly relationship. You can't. It just things just doesn't. You just don't let that stuff go on cruise control, because guess what happens? Familiarity breeds contempt. What have you done for me lately, Eddie? Why have you looked at why aren't you looking at me, Eddie? He said, you used to do these things, but you don't do them anymore. Familiarity. So a lot of us grew up, you know, mid to late 70s, early 80s was the time of coming of age. Some of us early 90s. You know, the role models we saw in mass media, good times. It was an intact family for the most part, but they struggled up. You had the Cosby Show in the 80s, showing a successful what a successful couple looked like with children. Both of them were employed. In the 90s, you had Martin and Gina. They weren't married. They finally got married, but they had a decent relationship up and down. But what you didn't see was the mundane, everyday type of situation, because you didn't know depending on where you live, you didn't see that. You saw parents together, you know, they out drinking, fighting. You saw parents, you saw parents loving parents, at least on the outside, but when they got behind closed doors, things changed. And we all have one or two family members that no matter what you say, no matter what you do, they ain't gonna listen to you. They're gonna do their own thing, and then they want you to subsidize their screw ups, romantic and not romantic. So how, we are, like I said, we are a compilation of all of our past joys, pains, and different things. A lot of us, we're not, we've raised our children, and we kind of grew into, hey, if something's not right, leave. If it's not, if I don't feel comfortable, leave. If I thought that person disrespected me once, leave. So, and then we're wondering why aren't relationships lasting long? What are we teaching our kids? We're not teaching our kids to stay in there and resolve conflicts. We don't teach our children to adapt and overcome. We teach our children, and this is not to say that a lot of us don't, but the results are just the results of the results. We basically taught our children, when stuff gets tough, bounce. I'm better. I can do bad all by myself. I can, I don't need somebody. I don't need a man. I don't need a man to complete me. Ain't no woman gonna tell me what to do. People are replaceable. This is what we taught our kids. Maybe not consciously, but subconsciously, because we bounce from relationship to relationship to relationship. We never get our healing, and yet we expect our kids to just pick up on the good stuff. The Bible says that we are walking epistles. So that means you could talk all day about honor, duty, commitment, love, understanding, and relationships, but what do your kids see?
Okay, I want to say, please, I would like for you to stop referring to we, because not all of us do that.
No,
And I'm just gonna say because I am out here, and I can see a lot of. I'm single, and a lot of men they do not take the time to heal. They do not. It's ridiculous how much a lot of men I've interacted with versus trying to romantically connect with or just friendship wise who have not let go of their past. And
Sandy,
it's stupid.
Sandy, you have a valid point. But the reason I use we because I'm not gonna this includes me, nosotros. Not everybody. There are examples where there are people that are doing all the right things, but they're in the minority.
Tell me about it.
I say we because if I say you, I'm pointing the finger. So I say we because I'm including.
It's like, I believe, I'm saying it's just, it can't speak for everybody.
No, I understand. And that's what I'm saying. I'm keeping it general to we because I'm including myself when I'm saying these things. It's not something that you're doing that I'm not doing, or I'm doing and you're not doing. I'm saying we because there's something in there for everybody. Everybody has gone through certain things. Everybody has walked those paths. Some did better than others. But for the most part, we all have very similar situations. We've all saw the gamut of relationships from, like I said, from our most personal relationships to people out on the street relationships. And especially in the era of social media, you see more on people's relationships than you saw back in the 70s. Because remember the old saying back in the 70s and 80s, what goes behind closed doors? Could somebody finish that for me?
Stays behind closed doors.
But with the advent of social media, guess what?
It was what goes on in our house stays
always
in our
comes
house.
out. No, it always comes out.
But you know what? I like the transparency. First of all, I like the transparency because I do what I hate, what I really hate. And I have a group, I don't know if you guys would know it, to make it make sense. And what the hardest part is that I have great, nice, communication and conversation with people. But when I get them on the platform, they switch up. They're not as transparent. So I want people, they leave by their representative. You don't want nobody to know this. Don't tell nobody, I'm gonna give you my representative. Fuck the representative. I don't want the representative. So I like the transparency. I like to know what I'm dealing with. I like to know what I'm up against. I personally like that.
Sandy, I agree. We all have our representative. It's basically a form of code switching because you don't want everybody to know everything. So
No, I do. For me, don't say I don't. It's my thing. It's like I'm a different breed. I don't care because what you know about me is never going to break me. Live your truth so no one I believe live your truth so no one use your truth against you. You ain't never got shit on me.
But listen.
You ain't never gonna ever have control over me.
Look, you have gotten to that point. You have gotten to that point. Yes. Not everybody has gotten to that point, and that's my point. Is that full transparency? I've had plenty of conversations about this in the past. People could tell you, full transparency is paramount because you give the other person the information to make the decision what's best for them. That's bottom line. And you can disagree, but that's basically what transparency is for. Kind of what you were saying. I don't want you, you can't hurt me because I already have the information's already out there. But a lot of us, and I say us is not you, not me personally, but a lot of us are not to that point where we can feel that way. And this also goes back into, like I said, this also goes back into how we were raised and how we perceive the world. Because sometimes, honesty is always the best answer, but transparency is not always the best outcomes. People want the best outcomes, and some people think by withholding certain information that they'll get the best outcome. However, it'd be the best outcome for them, and not the best outcome.
Not either.
All I can
Not
say is
either.
life is too short, right? Life is too short. When you would, everybody on this live, whatever, is not promised to wake up tomorrow. If anybody's gonna tell your story, if you want to live your story, I would rather tell my story. Ain't nobody gonna tell my damn story for me. Ain't nobody gonna do that for me, but me.
And that's a good way to be, because if you leave something open, people will try to fill in the blanks. And why don't and on that tangent, why don't people ever fill the blanks with good stuff?
You know what, and even it doesn't matter. I like Kevin Hart. You guys know the comedian Kevin Hart. When he cheated on his second wife, he cheated, and they were trying to extort money from him. The way he took his power back is he told his truth. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get nothing. People will gain control over you because they feel like, I'm going to telling you. But when you live your truth, you ain't got shit to tell. You ain't got nothing to tell.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? I do
right.
make mistakes, and I'm gonna, you know what? I did. That's what he did. I did that. You know what I'm saying? Right. I did that. So now what? You know what I'm saying? So I have to handle mine.
And people have to get to that place. And you are speaking 100% fact. However, people have to get to that place, and we have to be open enough and non-judgmental enough, because people are afraid of judgment. I'm not you. I'm just saying in general, people are afraid of being judged.
You know what? It be the guys that'll be working out 7 days a week, look buff and everything. They be so scared of judgment. It just baffles me. Like, I don't understand.
It's gender agnostic.
You worried about the wrong dudes, baby. You worried about the wrong.
That's what I'm saying.
The ones that approach me, the ones that call themselves liking me.
Now, I am going to say this. You might not agree, but you attract what you are.
Superficial?
Maybe not superficial, but guarded. Because just in these conversations, you like to debate, and nothing wrong with that.
No, I love debating.
Nothing wrong with that.
I took up debating in college.
Right, but guys don't always want to battle, and the guys that may step to you, like you said, they may just look at the hit because you're a very attractive young lady, and I say young because you're younger than me, but they might be looking just to hit, and that's why they come with superficiality. But I'll leave that one alone. But I like I said, this is actually some good debate. And
but you can't. We cannot control what we attract. We can only control what we entertain.
I disagree, and here's why I disagree. Your actions, the way you carry yourself, the way you act, the way you present yourself is what attracts people.
It doesn't mean you should be attracted. Like I like Michael Jackson. Like I'm gonna say like Michael Jackson, whoever. There are so many people that were attracted to him. You right? And the only people, and that's fine. You a dope ass person. You should want to get with me. That's just your mindset. You should want to be with me. Like that's good. But who you entertain, that is pivotal. If you are attractive, you're a dope ass person, you can't hate nobody. I told my son this a long time ago. You cannot hate nobody for having good taste. You know what I'm gonna do? Bitch, stop liking me because you should like me. You should want to get with me. You should want to fuck me. Like you should. You should.
Right.
Now, what I entertain, that is my responsibility. What I choose to engage with, that is my responsibility. But what I attract, no, can't hate nobody for having good taste.
I'll leave it at that.
I agree with her, Drake. I agree with her. You know why?
Why?
Say you attract a hood booger.
I used to be a nut magnet, Daddy.
Listen, But listen, they like what they see. You don't attract them, but once you engage with the conversation, that's on you, bro.
That's on
Yeah,
you. Right.
yeah, no,
I can't,
I
I can't
got you.
attract, I can't
Can
control
I
what I attract.
intervene? Can I intervene? What does
Go
any
ahead.
of that got to do with the topic?
Well, no. Now listen. What it has to do with the topic is, you picking up cues from how you act, the way you grow and you learn. When you learn as you coming up, it incorporates into you, and whatever that is attracts people to you. Broken people often attract other broken people.
Not necessarily. I'm gonna
Is that
disagree
a
right there, because I'm gonna say for every weakness, people where I'm weak,
You look
you
for
may
a
be
strength
strong.
somewhere
So
else.
my thing is your strength. When I know that, okay, he's strong in this area, because I remember this guy I used to work with, he was like a really go-getter. He was a no thing. I'm like, man, I like that, because I'm weak in that area. So I want to get on his team. You know what I'm saying? So my thing, sometimes it's the yin and a yang. And
It's
you
the opposites
recognize
attract.
he has or she has some things that I feel like I need. You know what I'm saying? So it's
right?
don't.
But
That's
I
what I'm
think
saying.
I think that that's a individual thing. But the majority of people, it happens too. So fortunately, it doesn't happen with you as an individual, but there are a multitude of people that it does happen to.
And that's all I'm saying. And that's all I'm saying is that when I mean broken, when I mean broken is some unhealed people. And they see, like you said, they see something positive in somebody, but that person is also unhealed in different areas. Now like you said, weaknesses and strengths may match. However, it still doesn't affect that if both people don't seek to be the best versions of themselves, then that relationship will most likely go the way of the dinosaur.
I'm gonna say this. I can say this. I feel like if people just learn to respect people for who they are and not try to change them, and it's okay that we don't agree, we don't approach situations the same way, but I respect that you have a certain way of different dealing with things, and it's just the respect level has to be there.
Yeah, somebody need to hear
I feel
this.
like that needs to be more of a pivotal place to be with any relationship, girlfriends, romantic, platonic relationships. This to respect that we're different. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to have my perspective, and you don't have to live or we don't have to be the same, but the respect level has to be there, because I can learn something from you can learn something from me, and we can still coexist and be multiple badass people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's going to be multiple queens and multiple kings in this land. We don't have to align and think alike and mirror each other alike, but the respect level has to be there.
And that's Salah, agreed. The respect level should be there, and whatever you have is whatever you bring. And this is kind of, these conversations need to be had, because a lot of things that we learned growing up and we had to unlearn the unhealthy stuff, a lot of us aren't at the same level. So we look at those things and we say to ourselves, what am I willing to give in order to receive? That's how it should work. It's always should be a give and take, because relationships are work. They're jobs. Whether, like I said, whether you're friends, whether they're relatives, whether it's romantic. This has been great. This actually been a great topic, a great show. Mr. Bridges, I heard you did this before. Hopefully we were up to the standard. And just a few added notes before I turn it over to the lovely Dr. Fabulous. or I like to say the
I had something to
fantabulous
say.
Dr. Fabulous.
Had my hand raised.
Oh, my
He
bad,
didn't have
Anson.
his hand
Go
raised.
ahead, go ahead,
He
Anson.
had his
Before we
hands
go.
raised properly too.
Go ahead,
Hand,
Anson.
hand was raised for a long time. But I wanted to comment on something you said earlier about, people see what's been on TV as in our upbringing has changed, correct? You had the Cosby Show back in the day, you had Good Times, and then you move on to the 90s and the early 2000s, you got Martin and all that stuff. You know what I mean? You got all those shows. And that kind of harkens back onto what I've been saying for shows previously, is that, and I've always said this on the show, is that all this stuff that's being said, no one is teaching people how to get the things that you're griping about. It's just griping over and over and over again. So you got young ladies that hear this from older ladies like you all that you on here, and they're not learning how to do different or do better. Like I remember I harking back onto the conversation we had about gender roles. I remember that conversation. I remember that show. A lot of you all was against gender roles. And to me, during that whole show and at the end of the show, I'm like, why? And the problem is that a lot of these young women are hearing older women saying how they hate gender roles. And I remember my response was, I don't want to be myself. So yes, I believe in gender roles. So I say all that to say is that you learn from who's experienced whatever they experience. So the 70s television programs and media programs were different from the 80s, and the 80s different from the 90s, and 2000s different from 2000. So you got people learning from people that ain't learning, basically. So it's a pattern. And fast forward to today, you got a lot of women who've experienced things, and the young women listen to them, but they're learning from your experience. They're hearing you be upset about something, and they go on saying, I ain't gonna let that happen to me. I ain't gonna let that happen to me. But they're not being taught how to not let that. That's all I want to say.
Good points. Good point answers. As you know, you've been on fire the last 2 months. I don't know what it is. You must have been eating Wheaties or something, but your ass been on fire. And I love every bit of it. That's why your ass never need to lay down again when you're on the show. Hit your ass up.
Okay. Well, I'm
I
going
just
to
got a couple
jump
more
right
things.
on in.
Dr. Fab, I just got a couple more things, and
Okay.
I'll turn it over to you. 29th October, Scottish Mason Rite, Savannah, Georgia. Be there, Masquerade Ball. Tickets are on sale. Tomorrow actually is the last day you can get tickets at a discounted price of $55. On the 27th, they go up to $65. We want you to be there. We want you to tell your friends, tell a phone, tell your mama if she's still with you. Come on down to Savannah, join us, have a blast, have a great time, meet and greet and see these people in person. No fighting, no, because we classy like that. Back to you, Dr. Fab.
Okay. Well, with that being said, it has definitely been a blast. I appreciate each and every one of you for coming on. And to Douglas, what is love? That can be a topic when you send it to us, upscalelove4you@gmail.com. We will definitely take that in consideration. With all hearts clear, as they do it in church, we're going to say good night. And don't let this be your last time. Please, please, please come back. Every week we put up what we're going to talk about. So that way, but you know what? I got to say one thing because it's been daggling in my mind. Danny said he was a little fat boy. So Danny, now because you slimmed down, do you deal with little fat girls? That's your question. See you next week, Danny. Anyway, good night, everyone.
I just want to say thank y'all for your love, your prayers, and the text messages and your instant messages and all that other stuff for my recovery. I thank you so very much. I'm still recovering, but I'm getting better every day. Thank you.
That's it.
One time for good health. One time for good health.
Yes. So
Good
night,
night,
everyone.
all. Thank you.
Good night.
Show will be up soon.
Let me know when you're back in the kitchen.